For the Jeep Owner's Field Guide, this is how to use a rear wheel hub puller, sponsored by KaiserWillys.com. Here's the Kaiser Willys catalog, and this is the heavy-duty brake drum rear wheel hub puller. It fits 1946 to 1986 Jeep and Willys vehicles. This does include the CJ2A, 3A, 3B, the CJ5, the M38, the M38A1, Willys Overland truck and station wagon, as well as the CJ7 and CJ8. Now that you've removed the lug nuts, wheel, and tire, it's time to remove the wheel hub dust cover. We do offer this for 1946 to 1971 Willys and Jeep vehicles. Now that we've removed the dust cover, it's time to remove the cotter pin from the rear axle shaft nut. We offer a NOS cotter pin field kit. This kit's going to give you all the cotter pins you're going to need for your Willys and Jeep restorations. Next, we're going to remove the rear axle shaft nut from the axle itself. Now, this doesn't have to be super tight. You're not going to want to torque it down too much. After we remove the crown nut, now we're going to remove the washer. This is a rear axle shaft washer. As you can see, this rear brake drum is not going to come off by pulling on it. The rear wheel oil seal that's on there is holding this thing in place. Plus, there's a key in here. As you can see, the little slot for the key. That's what we're actually using to pull this rear brake drum off with this hub puller. Now, when you're putting these fingers on from the hub puller, what you're going to do is you're going to put them over top of the lug nut studs, as you can see, and then you're going to put the lug nuts over top of them. Now, you want to tighten them down, but you don't want to tighten them down too much because you have to have enough play in it in order to put it onto the main hub puller assembly. You are going to need to use a lug wrench to tighten these lug nuts down, but like I said, you don't want to do it too much, so you can kind of get an idea by watching this about how much. Now, if you have any questions about this rear hub puller, you can always give Mike a call at 1-888-648-4923, and of course you can always email Mike at KaiserWillys.com with any questions that you may have. When I use the hub puller, I try to make it so that there's about 1/4 of an inch, give or take, between the actual hub, the brake drum, and the fingers for the hub puller. Now that we've got all the hub puller fingers on and they're in the correct orientation, it's time to add the main body of the hub puller. Now, the spindle has got to have grease on it. You have to grease the spindle that goes that pushes the actual hub off. So add grease. I use a heavy-duty grease, as you can see. This is a heavy-duty tool. Another really good heavy-duty tool is the Kaiser Willys Jeep Parts Catalog. I don't know if you have one, but if you don't, you can go to www.kaiserwillys.com and request your free copy today. As you can see, it can be kind of frustrating to get these in here, but you can see why they have to be a little loose in order for the hub puller to work. So that is why you actually keep it a little bit loose instead of tightening them down full torque. Now, what you're going to do is kind of get it tight so that it'll hold itself on there. I suggest taking your lug wrench and tighten the lugs a little bit. This is what it's going to look like when you have them all on there and it's got a little bit of pressure on it. So what's going to happen is we're going to take and use this next tool. This is the part of the hub puller. This is what you're going to use to put on the spindle, and what you're going to have to do is actually pound the sides of this to push that spindle against the axle to pull the hub free from the axle. One of the main reasons you're going to need to keep this spindle greased is that there's a large amount of pressure and heat that's going to build up, and without the grease it'll seize up the main spindle in the hub puller. Now, it does seem like you were just beating this thing until nothing's going to happen, but this is the part you're waiting for right here. When it does pop like that, it is loud and it will jar you, so just be aware that it's going to be a little unnerving when it does actually release from the axle. after it does release from the axle, all you're going to do is just unscrew it like you're seeing here. It comes off pretty easy after you get to that point. And there you have it. We have successfully pulled the rear brake drum hub with the brake drum hub puller. Item number HP600. Made in the USA, this tool does not pull from the outside of your drum, and it won't bend your hub, brake, drum, or axle. It'll work with 9-inch, 10-inch, 11-inch, and 12-inch four-wheel drive brake setups. This is a lifetime tool. This is definitely worth the investment. There you go. These are the 6 parts that create the heavy-duty brake drum rear wheel hub puller. It does fit 1946 to 1986 Jeep and Willys vehicles. Now, if you would like to order this, we do carry this online 24/7 at www.kaiserwillys.com. And for the Jeep Hunters Field Guide, this has been a rear hub puller. While you're at KaiserWillys.com, I highly encourage you to go up and request your free Willys Jeep parts catalog. And if you know Kaiser Willys, you know that this is probably the best catalog out there for Jeep and Willys restorations. Get your free copy today.